It's 2 a.m., your brain is bouncing between tomorrow's to-do list, one awkward text you sent 3 days ago, and suddenly you're also reorganizing your closet in your head. If you got ADHD and sleep is your enemy, you're definitely not alone. I used to think that I was just an idol. I'd be wide awake at midnight, yet completely useless in the morning. I always used to hit snooze at least 10 times and wondered just why I couldn't get it together. So it turns out ADHD isn't just about attention, it also impacts how your brain regulates everything, and that includes sleep. So what actually happens is that your ADHD brain affects the ability to manage alertness, emotional regulation, and thus also sleep. Sleep issues affect about half of us ADHDers, but why? So let's break it down. ADHD isn't just about focus, it's a regulation disorder, and that means it impacts how our emotions are regulated, our impulse control, and also our arousal regulation. That means that for us ADHDers, we have a huge problem shifting from on to off or from off to on. So what happens biologically is that people with ADHD often have a delayed cardiac rhythm, and the body starts to produce melatonin, which is the sleep hormone, later in the evening than it should. And if you combine that with low dopamine activity and your brain is literally not getting the chemical that it needs to signal that it's time to shut down and sleep, plus the hyperfocus at night that often leads us to productivity spikes just when we're about to wind down and start resting. So all of these come together, which makes sleep so much harder. And pretty much while everyone else is winding down and drifting to sleep, our brain says, oh, now it's the perfect time to reorganize the bookshelf by color and start our new brilliant business idea. And now the real life impact of ADHD sleep issues is huge, and this is kind of what it can look like in our everyday life. So firstly, it takes you forever to fall asleep, sometimes 1 hour, 2 hours, or even 3 hours. You might wake up multiple times and you can't get back to sleep. You might sleep in late and miss your alarms. You might feel groggy all day. You might start the day already behind and then you start spiraling, and that might spike anxiety or anxious thoughts. And there's this huge emotional toll, right? There's that spiraling, anxious thoughts. You might feel guilty for staying up late. You might be irritable or emotionally very reactive. You might also be questioning if you're failing in adulthood. And if that sounds familiar, it's not your fault. It's kind of that neurological traffic jam that oftentimes happens when you have ADHD. Now, here's something that is even more complicated. A lot of people with ADHD also have an actual sleep disorder, but you might just not know it, which is great. So let's talk about kind of the top ones. So firstly, there is insomnia, which could cause you to have racing thoughts, nighttime energy, and stress about going to sleep because it's that kind of endless sleep. You're dreading bedtime because it never goes well. You are then stressing, you can't fall asleep, and you're staying up all night, and then that loop just continues on forever. Many ADHDers also struggle with something called delayed sleep phase syndrome, or DSPS. And that means that your internal clock is shifted 2 hours later than for everyone else. But society still expects you to wake up at 7 and be at work at 8 or 9. And then there's restless leg syndrome, which is like the name says, your legs are just restless and you have that feeling that you just need to move your legs. And actually about 50% of ADHDers are affected, and it is tied to dopamine and iron deficiency. Sleep apnea is also another very common disorder, sleep disorder for us ADHDers, and it disrupts deep sleep. It causes fatigue and even mimics ADHD symptoms. And then there's also narcolepsy, which is rare but often missed, and that causes you to have sudden sleep attacks during the day. And many adults with narcolepsy actually had ADHD symptoms as children. So if your sleep issues feel way more intense than what feels normal for ADHD, please talk to your doctor because you might be dealing with one or multiple of those sleep disorders we just discussed. Now let's talk about why it matters so much and why it shouldn't be ignored if you struggle with sleep. Firstly, sleep deprivation can amplify your ADHD symptoms. It can increase forgetfulness, emotional dysregulation, impulsivity, and many kids actually get misdiagnosed because fatigue shows up as hyperactivity. And many adults might appear more disorganized or lazy, but they're really just plain exhausted. And it doesn't have to stop at mental health, right? It could also lead to weight gain, weakened immune function, even cardiovascular issues can arise from these chronic sleep issues and chronic sleep deprivation. And caregivers of kids with ADHD and sleep problems are way more likely to experience depression, stress, and burnout. So sleep isn't just important, it's absolutely foundational. And if you got ADHD, it can definitely not be an afterthought. So if you struggle with sleep, please get yourself support and help and see if maybe you struggle with any of these sleep disorders. And we can now also talk about some things that you can set up to ensure that your sleep improves or that you can sleep throughout the night. So let's talk about some of the tools that actually work and I've also incorporated myself, and that has hugely improved my sleep. So firstly, routine is everything. And I know when we as ADHDers hear the word routine, sends off like a warning signal, but routine can be super helpful. And it also personally has helped me a ton. So it could be very helpful to have the same bedtime and approximately same wake up time every day, even on your weekends. You can anchor your routine with calming rituals, and that does not mean scrolling on TikTok right before you go to sleep. It can also be helpful to, of course, cut out stimulants 4 to 6 hours before you go to bed. And that means coffee, means matcha, means stimulant medication, making sure that you're taking your stimulant medication right in the morning so that it doesn't keep you up at night. And I would also encourage you to not start any high stimulation activity late at night. So no building IKEA furniture at 11 p.m. And you can also try ditching your screens 1 hour before bedtime. And I know 1 hour before bedtime might seem like a big step. So you can also just start slowly, like first 10 minutes before bed, 15 minutes before bed, 30 minutes before bed. And I'm definitely also not perfect at it, and it's hard. We're attached to our screens. But for me, what has really helped me is I now always put my phone outside of the bedroom. So at least I always have like 30 minutes off screen time before I go to sleep. And screens can be so bad for sleep because the blue light from the screens can block melatonin production, which, if you remember, is the sleep hormone, which signals our body that it's time to fall asleep. And if avoiding screens is just really hard for you right now, you can also try red light lamps or screen filters. Then also environment really matters, so try to keep your bedroom cool, dark, and quiet. You can also use things like white noise or rain sounds, brown noise, whatever you prefer. For me personally, I don't like white noise. I can't really tell you why. It just agitates me for some reason, even though white noise can be very beneficial for sleep, but I always prefer to listen to like rain sounds or waves or brown noise. That's also something that I really like to listen to. Then also weighted like blankets, pillows, or eye masks can also be super helpful. I have every one of those. And I also really love this like weighted sleep mask from Nodpod. I love it. You can also put it into the freezer and like cool it if you have a headache or just like prefer it cooler at night. I really, really love it. And then lights in general are important. So keeping it light in the morning and dim at night could be very helpful. And bright lights first thing in the morning really helps you to reset your cardiac rhythm. And I also really love going just on a quick walk right after, or pretty much right after I wake up, which also really helps me to wake up and signal to my body like, okay, now the day has started. Of course, in winter that might be harder, but now in springtime and then soon summertime, that makes it so much easier. Then you can also, of course, always look into melatonin or other supplements. Please always talk to your doctor about any supplements that you're taking. And also remember that timing also has a huge impact when you're taking the supplement, for example, melatonin. And then lastly, also look into therapy. So for example, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia is highly effective if you struggle with insomnia, but it also helps with bedtime anxiety and racing thoughts. And most importantly, please give yourself some grace, because it really takes trial and error figuring out what helps you with sleep versus what doesn't really support your sleep. Sleep issues with ADHD are so real. They're so frustrating and they can feel endless. But the more that you understand your brain and how it works, you can start working with it versus constantly fighting against it. Please remember that you're definitely not failing, you're adapting, and you deserve the rest without guilt, shame, and the pressure to be a morning person, because definitely not everyone has to be a morning person. Thank you so much for watching this week's video. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you will never miss an update. Bye!